Welcome. I'm Carrie Jeter, and this is the Freedom Sisters Podcast, a show where my sisters in service talk about her life journey, from hardships to victories and everything in between. We are the leading media company to amplify women veterans. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's week 3 of our leadership series with the ladies from iDIG. iDIG is the Innovative Directions Investment Group, where they really invest in the human capital of companies. They know leadership. And as business owners, we get to make really amazing decisions for our companies every day. And when you need somebody for leadership development, iDIG is your choice. They are the go-to for leadership development. You cannot go wrong with them because they understand leadership is a continuous process at all levels, and they tailor their programs to fit your individual company needs. This week, we continue the conversation with Keneidra Hargrove. She is the Chief Executive Member of iDIG LLC and a 24-year veteran of the United States Army. She implements the policies and provides the overall direction of iDIG within the guidelines set up by their board of directors. She oversees the planning, the directing, the coordinating of all operational activities. Keniedra also had an incredible military career, and she also was a drill sergeant. I am so excited for you to hear what Keniedra has to say on this continuing debate of, are leaders made or are they born? It's really exciting to see how they agree or disagree on this debate. So without further ado, let's see what she has to say about leadership. Welcome to the show, Keniedra. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
It's been such a joy talking with all of you ladies from iDIG. And so before we jump into this conversation about leadership and your life, could you just give us a foundation and introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, my name is Keneidra Hargrove, and I am a member of the Innovative Directions Investment Group. We are an organization that not only think about your organization as a whole, but we invest in your most precious commodity, which is the human capital. I am a veteran, 24 years of the Army. I have traveled all over, and our children have had the great opportunity to travel with us, which is always nice, see different parts of the world. And so I am just a small town girl, joined the Army, took advantage of all the wonderful opportunities that the military was able to provide me, and I'm here.
That's fantastic. So I want to take you a little further back in your story before the Army, and kind of what led you to decide that serving our country was the right answer for you.
So I realized early in my childhood that I wanted to travel. My mom was like, you should travel the world and see things and go places that I've never gone. And if you ever get the opportunity to do it. So in high school, I was like, you know what, I think I want to do that. I want to travel. I want to see the world. And the best opportunity for me to do that, I thought, would be to join the Marines. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go and be a Marine. However, I received a softball scholarship. And so I went and played softball in college for a little while. It's a local community college in my hometown. And so I went there for a little bit. And then I was like, you know what? I really have this itching and burning to like do something else in my life. And I do believe that I can do that by joining the Army. And so I decided that joining the Army would be a great way for me to travel. When I joined that organization, I thought, oh my gosh, this organization is amazing. It's more than just about me traveling. It's about serving others. It's about being part of a community and a family network who is there for each other no matter what, hard times, good times, great times. And so that led me to not only serve my 2 years that I signed up for, but an extra 20 plus,
Right.
20, an extra 22 years. So that'll take me to 24. And I decided that this is something that I want to do. It's much larger than anything that I could ever think of for myself. And I have no regrets.
I love that. I love that so much. Because I really believe in our service and the legacy we stepped into, but also the path forward to prepare it for the next generation to follow us. So I love hearing successful stories of our sisters who served. Can you tell us more what you did in the Army? What was your rank, your MOS? We know how many years you served was 24 total. Deployments, if you want to talk about, and maybe your favorite duty station.
Sure. So my MOS was a senior human resources sergeant, 42 Alpha. That was my career management field as adjutant general. And I made it to the rank of first sergeant, master sergeant. That was my last rank that I made it to, which I'm so very proud of. I always said that I was going to go be a sergeant major one day. However, life took a different turn, which is completely fine. And I accomplished all the goals that I wanted to accomplish in those amount of years. And to making the rank of first sergeant, that was amazing. My favorite duty station, I would say, would have to be Fort Jackson. Is a close with Fort Knox, because Fort Jackson, I was a drill sergeant there. And I was able to touch so many young ladies and so many young men that were joining this organization to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And to be able to put a taste of the Army in their mouths so that they would go on and take my place and be a drill sergeant and be a leader in the military was one of the favorite things I was able to do. And also being a first sergeant. That was another great way to touch so many people in an organization that I was a part of while in the Army at Fort Knox.
Oh, that's awesome. So did you deploy? Did you have any deployments?
I did. I deployed. I went to Qatar, or Qatar, some people say. While I was there, we also had units in Bahrain, so I would go there, and then a couple of TDYs I say TDYs, but a couple of TDYs over to Kuwait for different courses, leadership courses, and things that I needed to do while there. So I was able to get some training in as I was also deployed. So that was fun to do.
Awesome. So when were you a drill sergeant in South Carolina?
I was a drill sergeant from 2008 to 2010.
Oh,
June 2010.
I just missed you. I was there right before that. I basic training 2007. So just missed you. And
we were still in Europe.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I too started my career in the Army in the 42 Alpha field, and so spent a lot of time at Fort Jackson. And then when I commissioned, I became a finance officer and went back to Fort Jackson for BOLIC and other training. So spent lots of time there. I actually really liked it as well. So very cool.
A lot of people really like Jackson.
Yeah, it was nice. I can't complain. Mm-hmm. So we have these core values of the Army. They spell out leadership, which is probably on purpose. But even for like us, this emphasis that we're really focusing on this month is all about leadership. So of those core values, which one do you think is the most important for a leader in and out of uniform?
The most important for a leader in and out of uniform, I think probably is duty. We all have a duty to do something on our job, in our families, in an organization that we're a part of, like a church or nonprofit. So we have a duty to try to do the right thing and to try to help others as we are progressing along in whatever task that is that we're doing in and out of uniform. It is duty, because without that, how would we function the military? You know, we all have to have that passion to stay so focused on what we have to do within our task, and that's duty to me.
Very true. And so while you were fulfilling your duty to this country, what was your hardest or the biggest challenge that you faced as a woman in uniform?
The biggest challenge I faced as a woman in uniform was probably, and this is just for me, was just being separated from my family, being separated from my children when I had to go to field problems, when I had to go on a deployment or a special duty assignment. Of course, as a drill sergeant, my children were not with me. And I was fortunate enough that they could be with my husband. But I believe it was the most challenging part was having to leave them for such a long amount of time after they were babies, after they were born. And so that separation was really hard for me. And as I think about it sometimes, it's still just like, oh, I miss that and I miss that. So that was a challenge for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the mom guilt is a real thing for us who serve. I could totally attest to that and empathize and sympathize on every level with that, because that was really the hardest part. I knew, because I was a single mom for so many of my years of service, 3/4 of my time in service, I was a single mom. And so I knew I needed the job. I needed this opportunity to provide for them. And so there's just always this dichotomy of like, oh, I got to leave them a little bit to provide for them. And so it was kind of a balancing act and an internal struggle that I had to kind of iron out and reconcile, within my own story. So completely get it. And we do talk a little bit about faith over here, and I know you're comfortable with talking about that. So having that hardship and having that challenge, what do you know about yourself and what do you know about God because of that experience?
What I know about God because of that experience is that He will provide. He provides His comfort, and He allows me to know that there is more to the next step. Meaning that this separation is not going to last forever. This time apart is not going to last forever. And knowing that, it gave me the strength and I had enough faith to know that God is going to bring me through. He's going to bring me through. And I learned about myself that I had to really just stay in prayer and stay in praising God and thanking Him for what was to come. Because if I said that I had faith in God and that this too shall pass and He would bring me through, I needed to ensure that I stayed close to Him. And I learned that staying close to Him, that I could get through anything. Absolutely.
That's so beautiful. And I want to talk about some more joy that the Army had provided you. Could you tell us the flip side of that? What was your best experience that you had while serving?
The best experience I had while serving was being able to meet so many different people, being able to understand that we all are made up of these different beautiful cultures and values, and understanding that we all come from different backgrounds, but when we come together, it is such a beautiful thing. And so the best part about being in the Army was being able to make those connections, those friendships, and learn from the people that I came in contact with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. And I wonder if that's almost a unique experience for us as women who served, because I've been doing a lot of research on this lately, especially with our magazine and making sure we're talking to our community at large. And 81% of men who serve are white males, but the women who serve were 61% minority. That's a huge difference. So I wonder if it's to our unique experience to understand and to build those relationships and see that diversity and the beauty of understanding other cultures. What do you think?
I think so. And the reason why I agree with you, because it's like, if there's 61% of women that serve are minorities, we're bringing that culture into this organization. We're bringing those different experiences into this organization, and we're able to share it. So when we're able to share it and we find other sisters that we share it with, I think that is a big plus for the individuals that we touch as we are growing through the ranks, and that they can understand, wow, you know, women of all ethnicities are here doing great and serving right beside us.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. 100%.
It's a beautiful thing, and the more I understand that, the more I see the complexities and why we have these unique challenges and whatever, because there's such an array of beauty and differences that it's hard to cookie cutter us, which I think is also just such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I'm
Yeah.
honored and glad to be a part of such an amazing community. As you're listening to this conversation and you are like, what? How can iDIG help my organization? Check it out. They have multiple services to offer you. They have tailored leadership development programs. They help with government contracting, organizational leadership, management and leadership consulting services, and they also provide individual or group coaching and mentoring. If you're interested in working with iDIG today, hop on over to their website at www.idigllc.com. So, as far as leadership goes, I want to kind of talk about a few things specific to that. And more importantly, like, who was a pivotal leader for you as you were coming up in the ranks or growing up, and why were they such a pivotal influence on your life?
I would say my drill sergeant. Her name was Drill Sergeant Ainsworth. I'll never forget her. She was the first woman that I encountered in uniform, and she just had such a wonderful poise about her. She was a professional. She took care of us little trainees coming in, and she also had a family. She was on time. She was getting her education. She was like drill sergeant of the quarter. She was doing all these wonderful things, and they recognized her all while I was there going through basic training. And I remember saying, I'll never forget this, I want to be a drill sergeant, because she inspired me so much to just be this upstanding leader and servant to everyone that I would encounter. So I'll never forget her. She inspired me so much in the very beginning. Of course, I had other mentors as I went along in my career, but she was the very first one who put me on this journey to want to do great things.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I remember all of my drill sergeant names, but I was lucky enough to have a female drill sergeant as well, Drill Sergeant Jean Simon, and she was awesome. She was amazing. What I've been asking all of you this question because I think it's an interesting debate, and to see how at the end what the tally is. Do you think leaders are made or born?
So funny, because my husband and I, we go back and forth with this same question. I always say that I think it could be a combination of both. And the reason why I say that is because the leadership can be within, but if it's not groomed or mentored in a way that it is brought out to lead others and to help others, I think it can be missed and not really tapped into if it's not kind of blossomed by great mentors. On the flip side, if it's in you, it is in you to stand up and be that leader, and to kind of, and I've seen it as a drill sergeant, as a first sergeant, as a platoon sergeant. You have those individuals that just kind of shoot up to the top, and they come out and they rise and they blossom, and you can see the true leadership in them from the beginning. But then there are the others that you kind of have to pull it out of them. So I think they can be born, they could be made in a sense to kind of tap into what they already have on the inside. So basically it sounds like I'm saying they're born with leadership, but I think it can be a combination of both.
Yeah, so you're weighing, I'm hearing it too, weighing on what I agree with you is this the more born and then cultivated and given the opportunities to shine as a leader. So let's see how it all irons out with all of you this month. It could be, I mean, there's 5 of y'all, so we could have a split. We could have, well, we're gonna have whatever. Right now it's 2 to 1.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But
I'll probably be the only one.
but I think this is kind of to, I don't know, soften this, right? Because if you do feel that there's this natural lean to having this natural ability, it kind of goes alongside with this next question, because what I'm hearing others say when they're talking about this is how Keniedra, right? And they're dropping your name as a phenomenal leader that showed up in their life and given them the opportunities to lead, because you see that you can pull out those maybe not so natural abilities in them, whereas you just got it. And I think you just have it, especially hearing them speak so highly of you and why they follow you. So I'm curious, why do you think others look to you for this leadership? Little self-reflection here.
Yes. I try to, I'm a very positive, optimistic person. So I try to look at things more so on the side of, okay, how can we make this work? How do we get this to go in the direction that's it's positive, that's resourceful? And so I don't just try to, put the finger on people. It's like, hey, this happened. Now, what do we do next? How do we move forward? Where do we go? We're not going to sit here and just have the pouty face and dwell in what didn't work. We're going to come back to the drawing board and we're going to make it work, maybe in a different capacity. We have to add some, take away some, but I think people look to me because I try to keep that positive pathway to where we're going. Success can be on, any level. Who's to say you're not successful because you didn't make it to general or whatever? That's we can't say that. Success is different for everyone, and it looks different for everyone. So when people understand that and they do the best that they can, and if I can help you see that, I think that's a lot of times why people try to pull from me and maybe ask about my opinion and get my thoughts on something, because I try to think about it in a more optimistic aspect, whatever it is.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. That's a great answer. So what keeps you going as a leader, and where do you find that motivation to stay positive and look for the good and how to keep pushing us forward?
The thing that keeps me going is looking at my daughters and how they will look back and reflect on, okay, this is what mom did. And this is what she was able to do within her military career, out of her military career. There may have been a struggle to get to some of these places, maybe making it to the rank of first sergeant. It was a challenge to, go through drill sergeant school and be separated from my children. But what keeps me going is my family. What keeps me going is never giving up on myself. Because if I have set a goal, then I need to reach that goal by, I don't want to say any means necessary, because sometimes we have to reroute the goals the way that we want to get there. But I definitely have to get there if that's a goal that I've set for myself. Staying positive is keeping the faith in God, staying close in relationship with God, because I know I'm not here because of my own great wonderfulness. I know that I am here because God's grace and his mercy. I'm here for the people. I'm here because of the people that God allowed in my life and around me in my circle, and the support that I received from my family and my friends. all of that helps me stay positive and to move forward, to keep going in what I am doing.
That's awesome. Really beautiful. Do you have a scripture that maybe you cling to in times that it feels like this is too hard, or can I really do this? Do you have a scripture?
I do. I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, to prosper you, not harm you. And I know I'm just paraphrasing, but that is what comes to mind every single time something is hard. Another one is this too shall pass. This too shall pass. I will get through this. And God says he knows the plans he has for me. So I know that just because this door has closed or this window came down on my fingertips really hard, that's not the end of it. That's not the end.
For sure. That's awesome. I love Jeremiah 29:11 as well. And I don't know what scripture is this too shall pass, but yeah, that's a good, because like the hard, it's momentarily, right? It's not a forever ending experience, but sometimes it just feels sometimes too much resistance. And is it really what you're supposed to be doing? But you've been called, and you know you've been called, and you feel this very deep within your soul, it's like you are going to come up against resistance. It's almost like when you pray for something, it's like all the enemies come out to like maybe put a stop to it. So
yes,
resistance doesn't mean you're going down the wrong path, but you have to equip yourself to endure those hardships. So those are really great. Those are really, really great. And then you have mentioned having daughters. And so there's a lot in the space right now for women in the military. And it's not necessarily all positive stuff, although there is some really good reform, I do believe, coming. But even if we don't get all the reform we're looking for, would you encourage your daughters to serve?
Absolutely. I absolutely would encourage them to serve. This would be a wonderful opportunity for them to experience the world independently, but taken care of, and learning more discipline, more than what I give them. To learn discipline, to learn more responsibility, to learn how to be very independent, but being groomed in a way that they can step up into their leadership roles as they are growing and maturing in the military. I absolutely would.
Yeah, I agree full-heartedly. The no justice, no enlistment, I'm like, no, ladies, we need to keep serving because we're almost to that minority can affect the majority, and it's got to be 25% of us, and we're so close at that 19-20%. It's like, don't start pulling out of the fight now. We need 5% of you to step up and help us that have come so far. Like, we're so close. Yeah, so I'm hating hearing that in this space, and I don't use hate quite often, but I am not liking it at all, because it's every progressiveness that we've been able to accomplish so far. If we do, just quit.
Right. We can't go backwards. We have to go forward.
Amen. Amen. So let's talk more about iDIG, because I think what you guys are doing is such an incredible work, and the way you're doing it is very unique. So could you tell others more about what it is you guys do?
Sure. Like I said earlier, we are a leadership, management, conflict resolution consulting firm. It does say innovative direction investment group, and a lot of times people think investment in money, but we are investing in the human capital. We're going into organizations, we're giving an assessment, we're coaching, training, giving education on leadership abilities, managerial abilities, and being able to help managers, supervisors build their A-team. In the military, we have training and education for every level of leadership. That's missing sometimes, most of the time, in the civilian sector. So when you are the led and now you are the leader, how do you operate in that space when you have had no training, education. How do you resolve conflict when you used to be a part of the team and now you are the leader of the team? How do you operate in that space? And so what we do is, from the initial entry to, say, a bank teller, to now being the supervisor, we are able to come in and give coaching, individual team coaching, and organizational leadership to make employees feel like they are a part of a team.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've seen in my own personal experience, the lack of individual leadership, and then how to professionally develop them all the way up the ladder. It's very interesting to see where, as an organization that I went into, pretty young, I was 22, so I had been a part of other organizations before the Army, but it never even really crossed my mind of how they develop leaders. But now that I've been a part of something that really does focus on that, I think it is really a critical piece to the overall organizational culture, how you care for people and how you lead them in good and bad times. I mean, not everything has to be a crisis for a leader to shine, but how you treat others as a leader or a member of the team along the way is really, really important. And I'm just really excited about iDIG for multiple reasons. One, you guys are sponsoring the podcast all month long, and so we're really getting this amazing depth and breadth of leadership from all of you, the 5 of you who are on the podcast. But I also, and I'm probably biased, but I love that every single one of you in the organization developing this are all Army veterans. And I'm even rocking my yellow and my gold and black today. I didn't even realize that. You think being all of you coming from that environment and being leaders within that organization really sets you apart to understand and grow others as leaders?
Because we all had separate experiences as leaders, different, we all served in different capacities. So all the way to the executive level, and we have the initial entry level. So with that plethora of experience and knowledge within all 5 of us, we can come together, build a curriculum that is specific to an establishment to help make sure we are capturing every facet of that organization and how they grow their new supervisors and leaders. So I feel like we are able to uniquely shine as a whole, but individually as well. That sets us apart from everyone else who is trying to do the same thing that we're doing. Plus, we all have the foundation of every leadership level that some organizations may not have. So we are kind of very blessed in that aspect, to be able to have been trained, certified, and then to go in and now be the trainer and to certify.
That's awesome. I guess I just learned something a bit more, how you were like individually cater your training to that organization. So it's not like an evergreen class you guys have created and anybody could pull off the shelf. You are literally taking their organization and helping them at all levels within their framework.
Yes, ma'am. Now we can do the other two. We can have it cookie cutter for you and pull it off the shelf and go that way, but then we can dive deeper into more specifics and to really tailor to that organization.
I like that. I like that a lot. So what do you do specifically for iDIG, and why did this mission resonate so well with you after the uniform to step into this capacity?
My husband had this thought one day of saying, there is a need for what we do. And I was like, I agree. So I thought to myself, how is it that we can build this platform and move it forward to where we are today? And so I was moved to get out of uniform and do this because I know that I have an expertise, I have a skill, that I could still provide others and serve others while I'm not in uniform, but in a different capacity, and still be of service to the country still, you know, out here in the industry, and these civilian organizations definitely can get what we have. When I think about some of the training that we go through, the SHARP training, sexual harassment training that we do, and all of the cases that were coming out over the past years of people being sexually harassed or assaulted for whatever, in every different capacity, colleges and schools and, you know, just businesses alone. And I thought, if organizations were disciplined and trained and educated as much as we are in the military, we wouldn't have so many people thinking that they could just be as unprofessional as they want to be and anytime they want to be because they're at a certain level. So it was a drive within me to say, this is needed. And I know that I can still give back and still be a part of something that is bigger than myself. And so it drove me to want to deep dive into this and how can I help?
I like that. I hear duty all the way through. Just for the win. I mean, when husbands and wives agree, man, amazing things happen. But we have talked about this offline, and I say that, you know, kind of tongue in cheek, because it's true. I really do think that, even to the nod of like us being finally the kind of going off on a little side tangent here, in 2013, when they finally lifted all restrictions so women could serve in all capacities. And it was like,
yes,
yeah, we are different, but when you bring us together, like, we can see the full battlefield. Like, I'm going, as a female, I'm going to see different, and my perspectives and my experiences are so different than my male counterparts. But bring us all into the table and the battle planning, and then we're going to see the rest of the plan. Like, keeping us out of those rooms, keeping us out of the war game makes no sense, because we bring different values and perspectives. So on that, it's the same thing in a marriage, right? Like, he had this vision, you saw the opportunity, and you guys just came together and figured out a plan that is unique and amazing and very needed. And so that, I'll just explain myself a bit more than sounding. So, but specifically to the idea of, well, we spoke off of camera about the family environment and how all of you are Army veterans and you all have these different capacities of leaders. I think this is another really unique thing about your organization. So if you're willing to talk about it, it would be great. But how many of you are married? Like, how many married couples are on the team? And like, how are you guys coming together to really foster that family environment, but still be professional and making a difference in leadership across all industry?
Yes. So there are 3 married couples in iDIG, but we also have an individual who is married, but her husband is not part of iDIG, but she's still here. And how we separate that line from, you know, remaining professional and the personal is because we have done it our entire military careers, right? We have all worked together in uniform and now out of uniform. And so it is within us to be able to move forward, understanding that there is business that has to happen. And if we know how we accomplish success and we want our customers and clients to accomplish that same type of success, we have to stay focused on what the end goal is. So
And do you and Mr. Hargrove, do you guys have like boundaries and set, this is, we're shutting our phones off, we're closing our computers, this is family time? Do you guys have that as well, so you could really nurture your family as well?
So we had to get to that point because, you know, in the beginning, when you're starting and you're building, it's just a constant go, go, go. Now we have come to the conclusion that we have to separate family and business and we have to be able to have a cutoff time. So we definitely have a cutoff time where we're done with the computer, we're out of the office, we're shutting down the phones, and now it's like dinner time or movie time or something like that. So we definitely make sure that is a priority to keep us from going insane and from probably going after each other.
For sure. Conflict resolution and mitigation all at the same time. That's awesome.
All at the same time.
That's awesome. Could you maybe elaborate more just on what others may not understand about business in general, that as you're beginning, you kind of made a few points that already to that, but like really, if somebody is thinking about going into business, what do they need to know to be successful?
People need to know that this is a long game. This is not a sprint. It takes a lot of research, and it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of patience, because saying, oh, I want to start a business is wonderful, but then you have to do the work behind starting the business, and remaining positive and optimistic and pulling other people in, networking that may be able to help you and give you some mentorship and guidance as you are building a business is pivotal. You cannot do it alone. If you want to go fast, then you do it alone. But when you want to go far, you have to bring in others. You have to do it with others. So I would definitely say, make sure that the patience is there, the research is there, and understand that it's not going to be an overnight success.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For sure. What about, so we talked about the leadership core values. You all have an amazing acronym for your core competencies there, and it's start with iDIG. So which of these competencies do you feel is your favorite, and why?
I would say innovative. I would say innovative because we have to always think of new ways to keep the customers looking for the ways to keep their organization cohesive, and teamwork and productivity, and not thinking that, well, we've always done it this way, so this is the way we have to do it. No, be innovative. Go forward and think of their new ways, their new ideas, there's new technologies. And I think that is the best thing that an organization can do when they're thinking outside of the box. It is definitely one of my favorite things to do, because when you don't see it coming from a certain direction, you catch people by surprise, and then they're like, oh, well, you're great. That's wonderful. But innovative is definitely the word that sticks with me the most.
I'm sure. That's awesome. And so I know, like, I'm just thinking in my own head how, as I continue to grow and pull in new members for my writing team specifically, I'm just thinking of all the ways that maybe we can connect to help like cultivate like individual leadership and all of that within, and bring out those innovative things. Because I am training them how to be journalism and how to write and do all of those things, because a lot of my team, of the 30 who are currently on it, only 2 of them came with writing in this style, in this format, AP style and all that. So I'm just thinking in my own head how I could reach out to you guys later as I continue to grow my team to help, just spark that innovation and creativity within my own group. So I'm really looking forward to connecting to that. But as the listeners who are hearing this that might be struggling with their work culture, or might seeing, oh my gosh, this is the missing piece, and I haven't thought of it being a leadership problem at this point, and want to connect with you, what is the best way, and where do you guys show up the most for people to connect with iDIG?
The best way is, of course, our website, iDIG, iDIGLLC.com. Our contact information is there. Our Instagram, iDIG LLC. And we're also on Facebook. And then there's always sending an email, looking at our phone number that's on the website, giving us a call. We show up a lot there. We also show up in person because we're going to networking events. We're meeting people through other people, and we're being able to express and explain what we can provide and what we can do for individuals and their organization.
That's incredible. That is incredible. So, because most of our listeners are primarily female, what advice would you give women in leadership?
There could be a lot. I would say the one thing that I would give advice that I would give women in leadership is to always know their worth, know what they bring to the table, and know that all things are possible. Never give up. So always know, as a leader, you definitely have something that someone else needs from you as a woman. Definitely.
Yeah. Is there anything we haven't talked about today that you'd like to touch on?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we've talked about it all.
Yeah.
I think we have.
You've done a beautiful job really talking about your organization and your life and your faith and just how you have developed as a leader and the lessons that you learned along the way. So yeah, you've really done a wonderful job.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, this has been so much fun. I personally I do believe like I'm a natural leader, just like in me. I always have since a kid. So I love learning new things on how to be a better leader. And I know so many of us who have that military experience that we're able to cultivate those skills also appreciate this. And I think there is such a silence, a weird silence almost, in women in leadership beyond the uniform, that this is going to really help start to build that bridge and lessen that gap in resources. And I'm really excited to connect people to iDIG and to help them grow as individual leaders, but as corporations as well. So fantastic work. And thank you for answering this call to service to continue to move our country forward. And I'm just really honored to know you, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful speaking with you today, Carrie.
If you enjoyed this show, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Rate and review this podcast and share with your friends. Until next time, be seen, be heard, be known. Amplify women veterans.